Pickaxe.
Hello, and welcome to the Chance Encounters podcast. We've been running the board game cafes around the UK for over 6 years now. We've had hen do's to family do's, from first dates to breakups. We've seen it all and recommended a game for every occasion, and now we're looking for a fresh challenge. Each week, we'll invite a guest onto the podcast who will come armed with an abstract and absurd scenario. It's up to us to figure out what that situation calls for and recommend a game that totally connects their four.
Oh, there's four of us.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
Hello. Whichever game our guest loves the most will score a point, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the series will be crowned the Titan of board games. I am Richard Scarsbrook. I'm one of the founders and directors of Chance Encounters. And this might be my last podcast. I've recently received an email that is to help out someone in another country, and it seems that they've got themselves in a bit of an economic bind, but they're willing to share it with me. So I'm going to leave you all in the dust because I'm now rich.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you had like 6 weeks to live or something.
No, I just don't want to be here anymore. I've made my money.
I was going to say, you can still do the podcast if you want, even if you're rich.
I suppose.
He is rich.
Okay, you've convinced me. I twisted my arm. I'll no longer move to the other side of the world. I am joined today with Ben.
Hello, I'm Ben. I work at the Yogscast. I do streaming and other things. I'm a massive nerd and I love board games. I, too, have received poorly spelt emails that I have chosen to ignore.
I just assumed it was the language barrier that was going on. Right. Are you saying that I'm not unique in this?
I think he's cast a wide net. That's all I'm saying. Well, did you respond? He's a desperate need. I figured someone else has already beat me to it. I'm not lucky enough to get in there first.
And our guest guru for this week is Russ.
Hello, I'm Russell. I work at Chance Encounters. I wear many hats there at the moment. And I am the guy to go to if you need any pills.
What?
Because I've been receiving many emails about pills in my spam folder. So if you need any pills, discounted stuff, just let me know, because I've got many options there.
Well, I didn't know this was a drug podcast.
Yeah, it isn't, but
branching out.
Yeah, it's got to. I'm not the one supplying them. I'm just going to put you in touch with the people. Yeah, I'm the middleman.
You could call it a pill cast, because you also cast the pills into the crowd of people, and everyone's just looking at me.
And our guest for this week is Alex.
Yes, hi, I'm Alex. I'm a freelance content creator. I love board games, and I used to work with Russell actually as a games guru. So
yeah,
I know board games a little bit.
Yeah,
not as well as Russ.
That was actually how we met.
That is how we met.
Yeah,
and we met through your previous work with Big Potato, and then at the UK Games Expo, where you introduced me to Russ, who now I work with.
Yeah.
And Ben's here too.
Me? I met you now.
We've met before.
Story.
Alex has come this week armed with an abstract and absurd scenario. Spoilers, this isn't actually the first time we've ever met Alex and done podcasts before. There's a super secret, rare podcast that we've done before.
Yeah, so better not be using the same scenario, otherwise I'll completely ruin that.
I know exactly what board game I'm going to recommend.
Hang on, who won that one? I'm going to steal that. Can I go first with my recommendation?
No spoilers, but I remember who won. I won't spoil it. No, I picked a different scenario, and I've gone with something a bit... I think it's kind of interesting. So in my scenario, I have fallen through a portal and I've traveled back in time, and I'm in now time and space actually counts. I'm in 1920s America. It's Prohibition time, and it's a Saturday night. And of course, I'm going to go straight underground into one of those secret Prohibition bars. And I happen to have a board game in hand, and it happens to be the perfect board game for the scenario. So I'm looking for you to tell me what that board game might be.
Okay.
So I'm just at this Prohibition bar. If you may or may not know how those work, it's like secret.
Regale us.
Okay, so okay. I mean, I wasn't there, but I've been to those kind of secret cocktail bars.
You don't have first-hand information of this?
So They're the kind of bars where it's like, it's like a cocktail bar or whatever. And then I guess they'd have a lookout or something. And every now and again, somebody would be like, shh, shh, and then everyone has to be quiet. Or like they pretend to be drinking tea or whatever the case may be. So it has to be a game where you can quickly like stop whatever you're doing and maybe hide the evidence.
Why do you have to hide the board game though? Board games banned as well.
Yes. Sure.
1920s prohibition on board games.
Yes.
The booze was fine. That wasn't the issue.
That's not the issue. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of booze will be involved as well. So maybe something that's quite simple and that, boozy people can play. And I would say like player count anywhere from 2 up, but I would say the more the merrier because, you want to get people involved.
So, I mean, do you know anybody in this bar or are you going to go and make friends?
I've just fallen through a portal into 1920.
Well, that's true. So
Did
basically
anyone
what
else
you're saying
fall through
is
with you?
you're just like, you've got a board game and that's going to be the
like your
social
icebreaker.
lubricant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking you're missing an opportunity here. What you want to do is you want to go there and invent all the best board games because there's nothing you couldn't invent back then in the 1920s
the wrong
that you can do
podcast,
now.
I feel like if you're going back to the 1920s and you're trying to like Back to the Future sports almanac this, I don't know if board game design's the angle you want to be going for.
Of the things that you could probably do, you're
could-
not going to make the most money from
You could go
board
write all the
Folks.
make all the Beatles songs 10
Yeah.
years early.
I would love that because I wouldn't be able to remember half the lyrics. So I'd be like, hey Jude, na 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 na.
Come on,
It's
you
like,
want it
no,
works?
you know.
We don't. No, we don't.
Yeah. Go on.
Take a board game.
You just go like, da. No, nothing.
Silence.
Oh yeah, that's because I haven't sung it yet. So you've fallen through 1920s prohibition. You've decided that you're going to the bar, or did you go straight through the bar? Is this a normal occurrence for the bar?
Let's just say I fell into the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise
yeah.
you wouldn't know the password, right? The little slit
Yeah.
opens up
Yes.
and they're like,
Yeah.
what's the password?
Do you think they just let pretty women in anyway, though? I think. Like, to
probably
these
not,
bars,
'cause you-
I reckon.
well-
Because then that's how the cops would get in, right?
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have allowed
Would they have
female
many
cops
coppers?
in the
Not in the
20s.
That's
Yeah.
I think you just turn up there like, there's no way. Come on in.
You don't need the password. You are the password.
Wow.
Missed your calling.
I know.
We have just gone.
Sleazy doorman.
We've literally gone back in time.
Sorry, let me just go get my fedora.
Dear.
So what kind of games do you like, though? What kind of games do you like? Because it has to be a game that you're going to enjoy as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like all sorts of games, really. I'm not massively on co-op games. I'm more of a competitive player, I would say. Just not to say I don't like co-op games. I do like some, but as a general rule,
Just like beating people.
wanna win.
I love a betrayer mechanic or like social deduction games. Where your role is your role is hidden, not your hole is ridden.
Quite a different game.
Wow.
I mean, either or.
Is that the definition of a spoonerism? Is it where you change the
Yes,
first
yeah,
words?
I do that a lot.
It's
Actually,
probably
yeah.
one of the worst spoonerisms
Yeah.
to make.
It's quite a vivid imagery as well.
Well,
It's the 1920s.
I'm like
Closed doors.
I'm like a human autocorrect.
Oh, my name. That's the worst thing when you're just writing out a text and then you just like read it back after you've sent it already and you're like, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so going back to this, you've gone through this portal. Is it the first time this has happened in the bar? Are you like, someone spews out, if it was right here, someone spewed out a portal into the podcast room, I'd be like, that's a bit weird. I wouldn't be like, hey, let's play a board game with you. Weird person from the future. Maybe you're an alien. Let's get the FBI in here.
I think I spewed into like a storeroom, so nobody actually saw this happening.
Right.
Ah, clever.
Yeah, so I don't know if this has happened
You just
before.
saunter out of the storeroom. Nobody's looking.
Nope.
Maybe there was a quick diversion from whoever portaled you through, and then you walk into this room, and then underarm board game.
Yeah.
Because board games did exist at that time. Like the Landlord's game definitely was out
Chess.
at that time. Yeah, chess. Yeah. No, more obvious choice, yes.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's a really obscure reference.
Yeah. Board game's been around for a while, as it
Yeah,
turns
no,
out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Like, I think they dug up I've read in the news there was a Roman era D20 that they found in ruins somewhere.
Yeah.
Dope.
I feel like I've heard that, yeah.
So You said you don't like cooperative games. You want to be competitive, but
I'd prefer to be competitive. I don't mind co-op games. If you I can do co-op, but it's just like not my preferred.
Saying no co-op games would be great though, because we have used them a lot. Probably mind a lot of those.
I'm saying not preferred. I think that's up to you then to maybe steer away from it.
You can shoot yourself in the foot if you like.
Yeah.
Leave the option open.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how, in an evening, perhaps, that everybody's going out for some hard drinking, subterfuge, away from the cops. You come in and then somehow get them to do some board games. Can you maybe take us through this pitch of how you've managed to convince these people to go to play some board games?
Look, come on, it's prohibition. People are looking to have a good time, and they're looking to do it in secret. So I think if you come in and you're like, you guys, I've got a great game we can play. I think people will be like, just like...
People will be like, is this like the landlord's game?
Better.
Is that like chess? That pretty new game, chess?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Well, I guess it's up to you to tell me what the game is, right? And to tell me how I would... then I can talk about pitching it. But
yeah,
I see what you've done there. That was a very good sidestep of the question.
Right back at you.
Right.
I think people are up for having a good time. So, and board games are a good time. We all know that, right? So
That's why we're here.
We do introduce a lot of new people to board games. Like often people will come to the cafe and they'll be like, I have no idea. That's a lot of games on that wall. So this is right up your alley there, Russ.
Well, I'm hopefully.
favorite question ever is them coming in going, do you have any fun games?
Yeah.
Anything fun?
Yeah, I think
we're just going to wall of boring games.
literally about half the staff now do that joke of, no, we don't have any like that. Just because
This isn't that kind of place.
Yeah. Just obviously in a joke. We do have fun games.
Yeah, we're basically going to turn this speakeasy into a board game cafe.
Yeah, pretty much. This is going to be the world's first board game cafe.
Do they serve food? I mean, we already covered that they serve alcohol.
Yeah. So I've actually, I've not come through the entrance, but the entrance is through a hot dog diner shop place. And there's a phone booth in there. And you have to like dial a number and then you go through. I've actually been in a place in New York where this is the case. So that's why I'm like, I'm actually speaking from
in New
experience,
York.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. So it's just like a hot dog shop, but then there's like a little phone booth and you dial a number and then you go through the door.
You just go in and you're like, wow, how is this hot dog business still going? Nobody's here.
Yeah,
Where is everyone?
Everyone keeps going in, but nobody leaves. What are the hot dogs made of?
There is a place in Leeds which is somewhat similar. You go through a hairdresser's to get to the club below. It looks really cool.
I went to a few places like that in New York. There was another one where you go to a coffee shop, but there's like a door in the back, and if you keep going, there's a cocktail bar in the back.
Just want to know where this is going to end, because there's suddenly all these businesses will just, people will be just going and trying to move bookcases downstairs or like pull things out the till and just to like access this hidden place. Where's the hidden bit? Where's the better bit?
Ripping up rugs and stuff.
How in the know you need to be, because if you're going to be in prohibition area, I'm thinking like one level people are going to suspect. They'll be like, oh, let's just go through that door, and then suddenly you're in a different place. Maybe you're in a gambling den, but then you go through another door or behind that like staircase or whatever else, and then you get to the next place, and it's like 4 levels deep until you get to the booze.
Right. So you go into the secret like vet's office underneath the hot dog shop, and then from there,
and then you climb through the corpse of one of the animals.
Oh my god! It's dark. Yeah, through the morgue. Perfect. Yeah. You climb into the coffin.
Well, nobody's going to suspect that.
The Dorg morgue.
So probably not.
And then everyone's ready to have a good time at the board game cafe.
Yay!
heavily legalized. No.
The place could be called Hair of the Dog.
Oh, that's
There's
great.
the pun. There's the pun for the episode. Tick. Done.
I mean, it could be a dog groomers rather than a
yes.
Yeah.
Or taxidermist.
Yeah. Taxidermist would be a great secret entrance for a business.
But
though.
bad taxidermy.
Yeah.
It's gotta be real
That's my
bad.
favourite kind.
Yeah.
Like wonky eyes.
Yeah.
In like amazing positions as well.
Yeah.
Nothing like, this is what this ferret would have been like.
Yeah.
No.
He's like Superman or...
I just don't know who decides to go into, grows up and says like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a taxidermist, I want to stuff dead animal corpses.
I feel like maybe it chooses you rather than you choosing it.
Yeah. just like I was just desperate for money, so I just took a job, and that's how they stumbled into it.
Well, maybe if Alex
Sorry to any
hadn't got
taxidermists
a
out there.
portal all the way straight into our Prohibition bar, then you could have stopped on the way to ask at the taxidermist
About what?
why they got into it.
Oh, right.
And it's like, I don't know. I'm here for cover. Like, I work at the bar.
This is bad taxidermy. Like, I don't have to be good at it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot what the entrance was. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the entrance is still a hot dog shop, but yeah.
Fair. The alternative entrance that I've suddenly created for this.
I just realized the
The way you get out when they know about the hot dog one, they have to leave through the
the
taxidermy.
There's
you're
two
just talking about
entries,
like
yeah.
taxidermy and a hot dog place. Like there is a synergy there.
There
right?
is, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Those those
Hot
workflows
dog.
overflow, don't they?
Anyway, what board games don't you like?
Yeah, co-op. I'm not super big on, but also I hate to say it because I want to like them, but dexterity games, I want to like them, but I just end up being bad at them, and that just makes it slightly less enjoyable because I like to be good at games, of course. So I like the idea of dexterity games, but I often don't tend to actually like.
That's fair enough. Although, like, bars and dexterity games do often go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right? I like to play, like, Jenga and darts and...
That's
like,
true.
The flippy...
Oh,
What's that called?
Flippy
With the
mappy
flip-
thing,
The flip,
yeah.
the mats.
yeah.
And the
It's like,
cups.
I only know it from the It's Always Sunny Flippadelphia, but that's not the name of it. That
To be
is not the
fair,
name of it.
I'm all right at Jenga, but yeah, I'm trying to think of
But
like
have
any
you tried
junk
the
art.
Superior Benga at all?
Ooh, yeah. It's a superior way to play Jenga.
What does it involve?
It's essentially the same game, but it's called Benga. And the
That's
main
it.
difference is
That's the difference.
you can, as long as you only use one hand, you can touch it as much as you want. You can pull pieces out and hold other pieces on and slide them around with your fingers.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a bit more involved. You generally get much higher towers, and it's much more impressive. I think it's.
I think that is
superior
more
way.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, rather
Although
than.
I thought you were only allowed to use one hand anyway.
But once you can only touch one piece in regular Jenga. Once you've pulled that piece out,
Yeah.
you have to balance it on. And
Oh,
that's
but
it.
you can hold it
But you
in
can,
Benga.
but as long as you can like grab the thing with your hand and like
Right.
twist it in a place so it won't fall over and then let go.
Whoa.
So you end up with these bizarre twisted monstrosities that like lean out and shouldn't work.
Oh.
Imagine adding like an extra element on top of that where the Jenga tower is inside one of those grabby machines, and after you've removed the piece you have to put it on the claw and balance it like that.
Oh my God.
That would be cool, right?
You say cool, I mean like
Stressful.
fear-inducing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd ever get past one block on
Yeah.
that. Though. Those claws are notorious.
They're useless, aren't they?
Yep.
I
guess-
hear that there's like an ability that they can like change the grippiness
Yes.
of those.
Yeah,
That's a
there
thing,
is.
yeah.
There's a setting. I've seen someone adjusting them, and they basically set to like 1 in 10, 1 in 5, 1 in 20 times. It has like a proper grip, and it doesn't let go. And then every other time when that setting isn't triggered, it's just got like this limp.
Yeah.
Like,
Limp
thing that will never
fingers.
pick
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
up.
I mean,
Heard that too.
I mean, at the end of the day, it makes business sense because you don't want to just make it so that you grab everything. And there's also have you noticed like when the machines they're more full, obviously they go down. Is it till they hit something? Like because they just drop until they hit something, right? Because otherwise, if it empties out and it only went down a certain amount, then eventually it'd just be too low to actually grab anything, and it would make no
I
sense.
think this needs to be a hard-hitting news story about the investigations into grabby claws.
Oh my god! Let's expose the carnival industry for what it is.
Exactly.
You mean they're rigged?
Yeah, always have been.
This is blowing my mind. Apparently, these emails have been sending out to be sent to everybody. Claws are rigged. What is this podcast?
Oh, Rich. It's okay.
Sweet summer child.
It's gonna be all right, sweetie.
It's not the first time in the last month I've been called a sweet summer child. That's great.
I really want to play Benga now, though.
Well,
Pitch
Can.
that.
Well, it's going to be available soon at store.yogscast.com.
You just
Is it just Jenga?
just
when you
turn
just
the
put
J
the
into
B
a
over
B,
the
yeah.
J.
print out a lot of labels.
Rules are
Stuck Ben's
different,
face
all
on
right?
it.
I know what you mean by dexterity games though, because I have also been like, oh, I'd really like to get a dexterity game that I'd really like to play. But the issue with dexterity games is they're so skill reliant. There's no, clever strategies to
Yeah.
kind of adapt and learn from it. It's just, can I do this quick enough or steady enough?
Yeah.
And if you don't have those skills, then you are always going to have a barrier to how good you can be at those games.
It's an interesting one because when we play board games, you're keen to, like, let's face it, you're probably not going to be playing with the same group.
Are you talking about me specifically? Or?
No, just in general. Because with dexterity games, that is the issue. If you own the dexterity game, you're instantly going to be much better than everybody else. And whilst strategy and knowledge of the game with other board games is an issue, but normally the luck will come into it within reason. Dexterity games can be like, you're just better. Like, if I'm playing against a professional footballer, I'm not going to win. Like, there's not really whatever I'm going to do. Dexterity games are quite an interesting one.
Well, it's like a mutual friend of ours, Ben, was told me, and it kind of made me realize it's like with a game called Geister Splits, which is a fantastic game. I love introducing that to people at the cafe because it's a reaction game where you flip over a card and you have to kind of deduce not only what item need to grab, but then there's the actual reaction speed to grabbing it first. And he would always do really well at that game.
Yeah, he was great.
And I never would be able to beat him because he had that natural ability. I don't know if I necessarily agree that you're going to be instantly better for knowing the game, because I think what I was saying is that if you have a certain reaction speed at a game like Geister Splits, it doesn't matter how many times you play it, you are still going to be limited by that. Whereas somebody who is just quicker at thinking and quicker at reacting is always going to be better at you, even if they've never played.
I think I get that with
Yeah.
anomia, for example, which is the same kind of idea, but with the words. Like, I might think of the word, but it's going to take me longer to think of the word than like you, for example. And that is really frustrating because it's all about thinking of the word and saying the word. So I just tend to go, until I think of the word.
We've literally played games where you said that. Like, everybody else is like, she's going to say it at some point. It's just like filling the airwaves. And then you just don't immediately.
You just feel like you need to say make a noise rather than
I just need to do it because to let people know that I've almost got it. But not quite.
It's the warning siren.
It's coming.
I will say though that there is an element of stress in dexterity and reaction games that I kind of enjoy. It's the good kind of stress.
Yes, yeah.
And that weirdly I enjoy. I enjoy the stress of those, even if I'll never be good at them. And I think that's mostly in dexterity games, that like the stress element, that you don't tend to have that in other strategy games. But yeah, I just don't think that I am a dexterity game fan. I don't think dexterity games are necessarily for me. I'll play them once or twice, just because I like to always give them a chance, apart from Jenga. But I will always
Benga.
Yeah,
I haven't played
superior
Benga,
form.
so I'm hoping that will be the one to change my mind.
It freshens it up a bit.
Yeah, well, there's all these takes on Jenga. You've got Dread, which is the RPG where they use the
good,
Jenga
actually.
tower as the clock of the game.
Right.
And every time you have to do a skill check, or instead of rolling dice, you have to remove a piece and put it. And if the tower collapses, then that triggers a bad thing.
That's a great game, but
Yeah.
I hate playing it with people who are klutzes. like it's a life and death scenario. Like, please be careful with the tower.
And they're just blasé. It's like, boop, boop, boop. Oh, which one is it? I find that dexterity tends to be easier to get to the table, which is, I don't know about you. I mean, you're saying like, I'm not too bothered about it. I'm like, it normally is the ones that hit the table for me.
Because you don't have to explain them, and people aren't like, oh, how many rules and tokens are there? You can just literally be like, you do this.
Yeah, exactly. You can pretty much guess. Like, it's fairly visually obvious what's going to happen here.
Having said that, when I worked at the cafe, I had a couple come in before, and they asked for like, what's your simplest game that you've got? And I was like, okay. And I brought over a game called Chairs, which is kind of like an opposite Jenga. You get a bunch of plastic chairs and you just have to stack them up and try and get them as high as you can. And I was like, that's the game. I left them alone with it for a bit, and I saw them bringing it back to the library, and I was like, oh, how was that? And they're like, yeah, it was a bit like too complicated. And I was like, that's the simplest game we have. Like, I can't make it simpler than that. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, I
as they
guess they
say.
can just go back to the hot dog shop.
yeah. Maybe they should try Benga.
Might be one rule too many. I'm not so
I
sure.
feel offended. Not for that.
I just mean because it's like a game they know, but like It's a little bit different.
So we ruled out somewhat dexterity and co-op games. Is there anything else that you're like, yes, this is what I like playing?
you've got like
Social deduction is like probably my number one thing that I love. Yeah.
And it's good for numbers of people.
I think it's
as
good
well.
for numbers. It tends to be pretty simple as well. You can kind of like up the rules difficulty as people get used to it with most social deduction games, I think. So yeah, but like it doesn't have to be a social deduction game, but that's like high on my list. I also really like deck builders, but
That's going to be trickier to play in like a bar.
yeah, and as well, I mean,
especially if you're going to have to pack up all of the drinks
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
And also if you have to pack up the game and you just suddenly mix your discard pile in with your deck.
Oof.
Oh,
it's
Right.
a mess.
I can't, I'm getting sweat just thinking about it. I can't handle that.
Do you find yourself on the strategy or luck side?
I like a bit of both, but I would say luck over strategy if I had to choose between the two.
Yeah.
Just because I like chaos and luck is chaos, so
Right.
yeah, that's like right up my street.
Somewhat guided chaos.
Yeah, preferably
open
a
for
bit of
anybody to
both. Yeah, where I have like some control and it's not all luck, because that's really frustrating when you just can't do anything about it.
When you've lost on turn one.
Yeah,
'Cause you're like, I misplayed. And everyone's like, no, we can't take that play back. Sorry, give me a moment.
yeah, I like a bit of both, but if I had to choose, I would say luck over strat. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. So what other questions have we got for this scenario? We know it's is alcohol going to be a big thing? Are these guys heavily drinking? Are these folks like, do we have to worry about the mental capacity at this point?
I think people are here for the drinks.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're all like off their faces, but like yeah, there'll be a few drinks and they'll probably have a drink in hand.
Okay.
I would also say
one-handed max.
it's pretty dimly lit. I don't know if that's going to make a difference to things.
Have we got much, I mean, this is a very like boring question, but have we got much surface to play these games on?
No, they tend to be quite either like bar space or like small tables.
It's like a
Okay.
keg, like on an upended keg. You know how they have like little cut out woods on top of them. Or whatever,
They turned some kegs into stools by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a bit bigger than a keg, but yeah,
Fair.
roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not in cowboy times.
All right. Sweet.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like with the fact that you have to be able to hide the game quite quickly, you probably don't want too much on the table anyway.
Yeah.
So should
I agree.
hopefully guide you somewhat. Is this? You're all scratching your heads. I feel like
That's the same
I've
one.
posed a tricky one here.
I think one of the games we've previously recommended, which would have gone fairly well with this, would have been something like Two Rooms and a Boom, in terms of that's literally like one card. And
You
they
do
wouldn't.
have the two rooms. You've got the entrance room and then you've got the
Exactly.
thing. And you
Yeah,
don't
but
have
everyone's going to stay in the booze room. No one's going to want to go to the hot dog room.
You guys can
well,
go to
they're
the
hungry.
please.
They get hungry,
Yeah.
and they tend to swap rooms, don't they? Every 3 minutes or so.
But we have the second secret entrance, so they can be like, that's why it
no
was
one's
made.
going to the creepy taxidermy room.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to be in there.
It feels so haunted. Like it's after dark, so it's all closed. Or you go in with like a torch, and all those animal eyes are just reflecting at you. Like,
One pointing that way, one pointing that way.
Are you a part of my team?
Yeah,
we're
that
actually missing someone. They didn't come back from the taxidermy room. Oh dear.
Yeah, this is a tricky one, but I have thought of some, but I feel like there might still be some delving to do.
Okay.
Ultimately, how many people realistically are we likely to play with? Because
coax
does it
into
matter? Like, I imagine it's just going to be short-ish games where, you know, it'll be done and then you can go on with another group. And what is your purpose, by the way? Like, you know, are you trying to impress these people? Or are you just trying to keep yourself entertained while you figure out how the hell you're going to get back from
What
1920s?
happens when the bar closes?
Like, yeah.
Bar never closes.
How are you paying for the drinks?
I don't know. I don't even have currency of that time. I have like pounds, and I have like a credit card in my bag.
Here's some plastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I mean, I'm not paying for drinks, but maybe that's why I'm playing the game.
Everyone's having such a good time. They're getting you drinks.
They're getting me
because-
drinks.
You're gonna try and
I'm
hustle
hosting
them.
the game.
You know, because
No,
they did like the
hustling.
card.
It's not
No, but I mean, like how you, if you wanted if you wanted to get free drinks and make money, you could pick a game that you're really good at that you can kind of look like you're really bad at. So you can like say, hey, we'll play it again, but this time let's play for money. And then this is when
What
you
if
come
you
in
lose? You haven't got any money to
well,
back
this
it
is
up?
why you want to pick the right game. You don't pick a game with any luck. You want to pick a game with strategy. That's what it is.
Yeah. So let's say I'm playing. I'm just like, I just want to have a good time. Right?
Okay.
I've just arrived and I'm like, well, I'll have a drink. Maybe I had like $5 in my bag. I don't know.
The
I just
reality
happened to
hasn't
have-
quite dawned on you yet
Yeah.
about the fact that you're, 100 years in the past
Yeah.
and you're in an unfamiliar place. You don't even. Do you even know that it's a prohibition like room?
I think you
You're-
figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What when everybody like side
Or
eyes?
maybe I didn't realize I've gone back in time. Maybe I think I'm just at like a 1920s themed bar.
But through a portal, like how?
Maybe I fell on my head and I woke up and I don't know. I'm like, where am I? How did I get here? I have a board game. Oh, I'm at a themed bar. I must have come here of my own will.
Wow,
That's
everyone's
how I
really,
remember.
everyone's really committing to the bit.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
they've
I love
even
the
got,
accents.
they've even got rid of their mobile phones. Wow.
They're really into this. Nice.
What was the other question? Oh, how many people realistically? I reckon anywhere between 2 up. Like I think it's I said at the beginning, the more the merrier. So
Okay.
like I want to get more people involved. Like so ideally not a 2-player game, but it can be a 2-player game if you want me to be hustling. I don't know.
Could it be a game that's kind of fun to watch then?
Yeah,
Because
that
if
could be
people
good.
aren't like necessarily involved in the game, they might still be like, "Oh, what's this?" So it has to be has to have an element of a spectator enjoyment as well.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
visual appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
whole
that could work.
crowd watching.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I think
I've got one.
I've got one.
I've got one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it clicked in just then.
Oh wow.
It's quite interesting. Okay, yeah. All right. Let's recommend some board games. So, Ben, do you want to start this time?
Okay. Yeah, my game is called Snake Oil, which you might be familiar with. There's a lot of other games that are very similar, so you can pick any of the very similar mechanicked games. There's like a dozen of them.
It's like a genre of its
It's
own.
a genre, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And all that's different is the theme. The game's the same regardless, but Snake Oil's the one I've actually played the most of, so that's the one I'm going for. And effectively, you get dealt some random cards with words on them, and when it's your turn, you have to take the random words you've got, make them into an item, and pitch that to is it? Oh, God,
It's
I
like
forget.
you get
One person
an
that-
occupation, I think.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
someone's an occupation, and
Yeah.
you pitch to them your invention and
Yeah.
why it's the best. And everyone pitches their invention, and then the customer, the one player who's the customer, has to pick whose snake oil item sounded the best and is one that they want to buy. And then the group rotates around, and the next person then becomes the customer, and everyone pitches to them. And every time someone buys your pitch, you get a point. So it's really simple. I think it fits the scenario great because there's not very much on the table. You've just got your 5 cards or whatever it is you have. So that can be packed away really easily. It's very easy for people to watch and listen because it's essentially just people making up rubbish. And, you know, it's like, oh, you should buy my lightning spade because it's amazing.
Lightning spade. That's great.
Yeah, and I think when you're drinking, it's even more fun because people get much sillier with it. They get much more over the top and come up with ludicrous stuff. So yeah, just really, really easy going. You learn how to play it by watching one round of it, and then you get it. So no one's going to get confused about the rules. I think everyone will have a good time. And it would work for a group. I think it can go up to 10, 12 people. So you can start small, and then everyone can be like, oh, what's everyone laughing at over there? And then the group gets bigger, and then people join in as the game expands. I think you'd have a good time with something like Snake Oil.
That's a pretty strong opener.
I would
is.
also say that it's probably likely to spur some actual inventions as well.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
Might
that's a
give
good
people
point.
some, whirring cogs to play. Actually, we should invent a lightning
You can
spade.
sports almanac it here and
Yeah.
invent stuff that they don't know exists, and you don't even have to think of it. You're just like, mobile phone.
Yeah.
We're like, that never is going to happen.
Yeah.
Mobile phone, talking on the wire. What is this?
Also,
Amazing.
to be fair, that probably some of the cards would blow their minds because there's probably
Yeah.
things that are on there that don't
True.
exist. So you'd also be educating them on what these things
You
are
might
as
have
well.
to fish a few cards out of the deck before you started.
Otherwise, it's just a dead giveaway that you're from the future.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, what's a helicopter?
True.
Or their minds might even be blown by really banal things like, I know, plow. I know that's not the wrong thing because that's so
My mind
that's like
is
a long
blown.
time
What?
before.
What do you think
but-
the 1920s
I
was
know.
like?
I know.
You're like, they didn't know board games or plows.
Board game. That's it. That's what you want.
Chess.
Yeah. Pretty.
Dinosaurs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Guys, I've got this great technological invention. It's called a glass. Whoa, it's like a receptacle for liquid. It's just...
It's actually just making me realize how little I know about what was invented when. This is where
You should play that
like
timeline,
Yeah,
game,
I think there's a game for that, yeah.
Okay, but like anything before 1920s, just get rid of them and then just only play with the future cards. Like, I don't know where this isn't a thing.
Yeah.
That's good. And there's also other games that I really like in that genre as well. Like Fun Employed is one of my favorite
Yes,
ones.
Fun Employed was the one I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Yeah, I love Fun Employed.
Yeah.
I've played a bit of Snake Oil as well, yeah, but not a huge amount of it. But I've
I
played it a
feel
couple
like
of times.
snake oil definitely suits this occasion. much
Yeah.
better than Unemployed.
Yeah.
They
It's a
might
good one.
think
It's a great
snake
shout.
oil is a thing. Yeah, what about snake oil? Yeah, it's that thing that we're all buying at the moment.
Yes, I have 5 gallons at home.
Yeah. What is this supposed to be an ironic tile? I don't get it.
So we're just inventing real products then? Is that what's going on here?
Really good, excellent products.
They're probably all like very suspicious of this new person with the funny clothes who's coming like, oh yeah, pitch me all your ideas. It's totally fine.
Russ, did you want to go next?
Sure. So my thinking of a game was, I only kind of clocked onto it at the end when I was like, it has to be something that is enjoyable as a spectator, because this bar might be full of people and they probably won't all be able to get involved in a game, especially if it's a game with lots of people. Those generally tend to have a few more rules and like nuances about understanding the game. So it had to be something that's super quick to teach, super understandable, no language barrier or anything, but also really fun to watch. And I'm going to say this is a really fun game to watch because I was in a tournament for this game where we had a lot of crowd, and the game is called Strike. It's a dice throwing game, so it does have an element of dexterity in it. And I know I've said this, this is kind of a theme with me saying, oh, I don't like a thing and then just picking a thing that I actually really like. But this is genuinely one of the only dexterity games that I've enjoyed. Essentially, the box is where you play the game. It's kind of got an arena, so it's got sort of like a curved sort of like indent where you're throwing the dice into it, and it's kind of got like a sort of rubbery surface, and your goal is to be the last player left standing. You have a certain amount of dice to start with, and there is a dice in the middle. And these dice have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, it might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And one of them has just got like an X on it. If you, on your turn, you have to throw a dice into the arena, and it has to stay in the arena. If any dice match there, so if I throw it in and there's like 2 2s in there, my turn ends. I get to take those dice from the arena and add them to my pool, and that's my turn done. However, if I don't match any dice or cause any matches, I have a choice whether I want to continue to throw a dice and hope to get matches again, therefore basically, getting dice back into my pool, or carry on again. And then if I throw another dice in and it still doesn't cause any matches, you have obviously this like push your luck element. How many dice am I prepared to keep going and throwing into this pool before I go, I'm done, or do I just go until I run out of dice?
Because you're making it easier for everyone else.
Yes,
by
Yeah.
putting
because
more
any dice
in.
left in there, the next player, they get to potentially match with those dice. So it's a constant like tussle in your mind of, do I keep going or do I stop and cut my losses? The added twist is that if any dice land or are knocked in the arena and they fall on their X side, those dice are removed from the game completely. So you're going to slowly reduce the pool of dice that everyone's playing with. So it is inevitably going to cause a game over situation. And it is literally the last player left with any dice is the winner. There's also a couple of other bits which are really fun. If all of the dice are removed from the bowl, because you've removed them all as matches, the next player has to throw all of their dice in at once. And if any dice don't land in the arena, those are also removed as if they've been landed on the X side as well. So that is the entirety of the game. I've honestly had a lot of fun with it. It's super simple. It does have the spectator element as well, because you kind of root for people. And it's also a game that you could potentially bring some sort of gambling in as well, because it is luck dependent at the end of the day. There's very minimal like strategy. It's just, do I keep going or do I stop? But you could also choose to like, throw your dice at other dice in the pool to sort of like increase the odds of matching. But it also does have that risk of maybe those dice will just get removed from the game.
I feel like this is just a complicated Beyblade.
Having never played that game, sure.
It sounds great. It sounds like the kind of game where people get like so invested that there'd be lots of like cheering.
There is.
Like, it just sounds like it sounds fun.
The best bit is I was at Aircon, which is a really nice convention hosted in Yorkshire every year. The last couple of years, ignored. But it's the Watch It Played team. They're a board game content creation sort of group. They held this strike tournament in the convention, and it went down really well. Like, we had a big crowd watching the final move, and because they did it so that you had a bit of a team. If you were in the tournament, you were part of a team, and as long as one of your people was in the final match, you still had a chance to win. And so it was really like rooting for your team, and I feel like that could be replicated in a bar. You kind of could just do it with like you have a team of your friends, and it's just really simple. Like I mean, I know I kind of took a long time to explain it, but it's easier if I just showed you how to throw that in. Sense, but it's really good. I really like that game for its simplicity, and I do think it's not going to be too long before we get a copy for Chance Encounters.
I need to know though, how did you do in the tournament?
So our team came second.
Ooh,
I got through to the semi-finals, but I was sadly knocked out. But I still enjoyed it. I still, was watching the final, and it was really good. And as a result, we won a copy of the game that was used for the tournament. So I have a copy of Strike, and I bring it out if I need a game that you can just play in like 5 minutes. And it's also because it's just dice in a box. It's so easy to pack it all the way, put all the dice in the box, put the lid on, hide it. Again, perfect for Prohibition. So
You'll hear that whistles and it's away.
Yeah, that's right. It'd take like 2 seconds to pack up.
Nice.
So
all right, another strong one.
You saying that reminded me of another game that would be really good.
Okay.
However, I'm going to go for my original pitch because the packing up is potentially a situation with the first one. So my first, my pitch for this one is a game that probably most people will be like vaguely aware of. It was kind of brought to popularity with Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's called Perudo. Now, Perudo has a bunch of rules, and if you actually read the rulebook of Perudo, it operates slightly differently to how I, as it were, house rule it. It's not one of those situations where you get taught by someone, you never read the rulebook, and then when you read the rulebook, you're like, no, there's actually some
classic
rules.
Monopoly situation.
Exactly. Wait, why is there cash under this cup? What's going on here? But the idea of Perudo is it's kind of like Liar's Dice. You have a cup, you have 5 dice in there, you give it a shake, you put it down on the table, and only you get to see what's underneath that cup. There'll be a variety of numbers in there, but you're going to be using them to bid towards whoever's going to have like the most outlandish number of dice, as it were. So you might be saying like, I think there's going to be 3 threes, and what you're saying is, on this entire table of everybody that's playing, I reckon there's at least 3 dice with the 3 face. And so everybody else has their own information, but you only have like, a fifth or a fourth of the information that's come on it.
But yeah, if there's like 5 of you playing with 5 dice each, there's 25 dice in the pool effectively.
Exactly.
So there should be roughly 4 or 5 of every number on average. But if you've got 4 5s, there's probably quite a lot of other 5s out there.
And so the idea is that you each take a turn by putting your bid in. And the idea is that you're trying to you can play in several ways, but you're always trying to either call out the last person, because if they lied, then they lose a dice. Or you want to be kind of maybe truthful, so that whenever you place a bid, the next person's either going to not want to call you out and make their own bid, or if they do call you out, then you're correct, and then they would lose a dice. So you're basically trying to protect your dice, which are essentially your lives, at all costs. There is also the ability that if you think, I think you're spot on, I think there's exactly 3 threes in this entire thing, then you can call that. If there is exactly 3 threes, then everybody else loses a dice. So it's actually quite a good catch-up mechanic if you're like in need. Perudo has ones as wild cards. We don't talk about that. Maybe you'll use that. Read the rule book if you want to use that particular rule. But I think it's really good. It's really easy to clear away. Again, a bit like Russ's, it's just some dice. Each person will have their own set of dice that's going on. You can easily hide those. It's also a cup that you're using to cover it. You could just use your hand. You can improvise. That's the word. You could improvise with whatever else you've got, or you could just pretend you're drinking some soft drink in the cup when the police come through.
Coffee cup or something.
Exactly. We've all happened to have just finished our coffee. Oh, that's a surprise.
There's dice in the bottom of mine.
I'm reading the dice leaves. But yeah, so I think it's good. It goes from I've played it at 2. I've played actually number of games at 2-player, and surprisingly it holds up.
Because it is like a last player left standing, right? So it does eventually go down to 2 anyway.
It can take a long time to whittle everything down. Yeah,
can do. Yeah, it's quite good for a spectator sport, especially when people are like, "No, there's definitely not 6 sixes in here. You're
maniac.
You mad lad. What's going on here?" And then they're like, "Well, I've got 5 of them. Does anybody else have a 6?" And they're like, "Yeah, we actually do."
It can be a bit like poker, can't it? It's that kind of like style game where you're bluffing and you're also trying to read other people. Yeah, no, I like that a lot.
And Liar's Dice, it was featured in stuff like Red Dead Redemption. You could literally, I may have spent a bit too much time in Red Dead playing Liar's Dice. So
Stephen Fry is like a massive supporter. Like he was like a what do you call those people who like ambassador or something for like a few years ago. That was like a big thing.
What for?
For Perudo.
Oh, I thought you were like Red Dead 2.
And we've also got Stephen Fry on side. You can't not pick on because otherwise
you in the portal.
Exactly.
I don't pick it. I hate Stephen Fry.
How could you?
The national treasure.
Exactly. Read the Harry Potters. He's wonderful.
Well, these are some very good picks. Very strong picks. So I like Perudo. I actually only started playing Perudo quite recently. My partner got me into Perudo because he's like, obsessed with it, and now he doesn't really love playing it because I'm really good at it. The same thing happened actually with poker as well. So
what you're saying is it's also an entryway into you hustling your way back.
Yes, that's a good point. So there's the hustle angle, and also I like lying games like that. So that's great.
Keep saying other good reasons why you like it.
Russell's Strike. I've actually never even heard of Strike, but I'm really I really want to play it. Like it sounds great, and I really like games like that where it is a spectator sport as well, like where people like gather around and really get into. Like Clask is another one like that. Actually, I think.
You can and also because it takes like 5 minutes, 10 minutes for a game, it's easy to just sub in and then you don't have to wait too long for a thing. Like winner stays on kind of situation.
Yeah, and I can hustle as well. Another hustling. I think all 3 of these are actually good for money wise, because Ben's also, as we've already established, people may invent things that I can then bring to market and sell for millions. These are all really strong. I would say the only thing with Rich and Russ's is that both of them involve dice and throwing of dice, which can be quite noisy and might not necessarily be like noise that you would associate with, for example, if we're pretending to be a coffee bar or something like that.
Pointed that it's got a rubber base. Actually make that much
but you
noise.
might hit other dice and things, right?
I mean, you're not like shaking a dice and cup together like
whoa,
like a sound of a cocktail.
Don't throw me under the bus here.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I mean, they presumably were allowed to gamble during prohibition? No,
if you're not,
there's
if
prohibition
the whole,
on everything that was sinning.
The whole point of a prohibition bar is you're not actually supposed to be drinking. I don't think the legality.
It's not the drinking that's the issue. It's the playing with dice, right? It could be just a games room.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you're already doing something illegal, I don't think saying, "Oh, that other thing that we could be doing is illegal." we should be doing. We should only be doing this illegal thing. Like I think you're all in at that point.
Yeah.
The point is that we don't want too much noise that might not be associated with the area, just because we want people. We just don't want people coming in all the time checking
hot
in.
dogs don't have a lot of dice being rolled.
Yeah.
Could be ruffle shuffling the cards, man. That's pretty noisy as well.
How are you shuffling your cards?
You know when poker players when they do that.
I don't really think you need to do much shuffling.
I know I'm fighting a losing
Snake
battle,
oil.
but I'm just gonna keep fighting.
There's going to be too much mirth going on with snake oil.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, all of the games are going to have like the crowd going wild.
Oh, yeah, everyone's going to be cheering and clapping.
I think I'm clearly going for snake oil here.
Of course. You don't have to justify it. It's fine. We all understand.
I will say it's just mainly because I love dice games, right? But like it's the fact that you don't have the noise of the dice, but also the fact that the noises that you do have of the game are noises that you might find in like a coffee shop anyway, like conversation noises, right?
Just chatting and stuff.
Yeah. So I think I will have to go with Ben's. I've played 2 out of 3 of these games, and I would say actually Snake Oil is my least favorite out of the 3 games, but is the strongest one I think out of the picks.
And
For the
and the scenario, yeah.
I just knew you loved the mystery game that you'd never played before.
I really
thought I
loved
had
your
that on
game
there.
actually, yeah. And let's play it after this. Like I'm
No,
up
not
for
anymore.
it. Never to be seen again.
No, I think it's a good one. I think Snake Oil is great.
Fair
I
play.
don't think you're going to be making a lot of money out. Certainly not immediately. Like you could
That's a long
play
game.
Perudo and then you'd be able to go and
I don't
stay
know how
somewhere.
long I'm stuck in the 1920s though.
Agreed.
I also say with which by the way, Snake Oil is a really good game, and actually used to have it at the cafe I used to work at. But I feel like you'll have to take a load of cards out. Like they have no idea what that is. They'll have. It's like we have a copy of 20-Second Showdown, which is a game at the cafe with a lot of activities. But there are certain cards in there that you don't really want people doing at a cafe. For example,
Like
remove
licking
an
a
item
window,
or clothing, and you're like, right, we're going to take that one out. So you have to kind of set the game up, and I feel like you'd have to do that with Snake Oil as well.
But I guess with that, you could just have like oldie-timey parchment written with quills in. You could just add your own whenever you want.
It's the 1920s. It's not
With quills and
ancient
stuff.
Egypt. Like
This is my papyrus.
Get that copy of Timeline out. When was paper invented?
yeah,
Exactly.
what's going on?
Mass printing? Who made that?
They had like newspapers, and I'm pretty sure in the 1920s.
No, they didn't. That's false advertising.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake newspapers.
That's big paper. You're a sucker for believing all their lies.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on and picking the worst out of all of them.
Yay!
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for pitching some great games.
No worries.
Good to have you. Thank you.
Where can people find you?
I'm Board Game Yogi everywhere. I'm on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm all the places. Board Game Yogi or Alex Lolies is my name. But yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on. It's been great having you. And that's all from us for today.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't considered, check out the podcast in the Audible audio form on all the cool formats that you can go
Wherever you
favorite
get
ones.
your podcast.
Exactly. We would love it if you could leave us a comment. Maybe what would you have pitched in this scenario? Did you think that our games were good enough?
Yeah.
Did you have a better one? What would Alex love instead of snake oil? What could she make some money off?
what's even
2
better?
rooms and a boom. Pitch 2 rooms and a boom.
It'll be insta-picked. But thank you so much for joining us and have a good one. Bye.